Hey students, welcome to week 3 of business law. Let's go through the overview. Again, I encourage you to read all the chapters. We're covering chapters, actually it should say chapter 15 there for the history of the UCC. Sorry about that. So we're studying chapters 15, 16, and 17 this week. Let's look at the history of the Uniform Commercial Code and how it evolved. Actually, it started off as common law, which would have been back like in the 1700s in the formation of the country. Eventually, that evolved into the Uniform Sales Act, and today what we know as the Uniform Commercial Code that guides transactions between people. And here's the basics of how the UCC works. Article 2 of the UCC governs contracts for sales of goods and services, actually, for any dollar amount. And it can be a sale that the transfer, the sale is considered a transfer of title in goods from the seller to the buyer for a price. Again, it does apply to personal property as well as commercial property, things that we own and that sort of thing. Merchants and non-merchants, quick definition. So a merchant is somebody who deals regularly in the sale of goods or having specialized knowledge of goods. If you're in a place of work where you're working and you're, for example, working a retail floor, or maybe you work in fast food, you are working for a merchant. A non-merchant would be casual or occasional seller. I'd have to check on this, but like my wife is she has an Etsy account and she sells material online, jewelry, costume jewelry, and antique jewelry. And so she would be considered a casual or an occasional seller. It's not her full-time job. All right. Formation of a sales contract. So a sales contract must contain some essential elements. And we're going to look at that in a second. But under the Uniform Commercial Code, it's a lot easier to form a binding sales contract than it was under common law. As you can imagine, over the last couple hundred years, transactions have gotten more complex. And so the UCC has had to catch up with that and keep up with that as we go from common law all the way up to UCC. Those changes had to take place to keep up with our economy. But because it is a little bit easier underneath the Uniform Commercial Code to establish a binding sales contract, the UCC then insists on 2 conditions that parties cannot waive or get out of. The first thing is that parties to a contract must perform their obligations in good faith. So when you establish a contract, you have to do that in a way that says, yeah, I'm willing and able to establish a contract with somebody for something that's of value. So in good faith. And then second, if the parties to the contract are of unequal bargaining power, then the one who has the most like the dominant party can't hold that over or take advantage of somebody who doesn't have as much bargaining power. So kind of think about it, as 2 unequal people negotiating. The one who has the most power, the dominant party, can't deal unfairly with the other party. And then with e-sales booming, and if you take a look at COVID, for example, the COVID-19 era, one of the resilient industries was anything having to do with e-sales, or e-commerce is the bigger name for it. And so the UCC, as it's been passed and modified, makes it easier to do transactions online through payment and services offered and description services. You think about the Amazon, Walmart, any place that you buy online, Wayfair, all those are governed by the UCC with online transactions. All right, let's take a look at so let's look at breaches. So most lawsuits involve the following situations. Goods are damaged, they're destroyed, they're lost after you order something from Amazon and it doesn't show up. All right. Not that you would sue, but you probably could. Both the seller and the buyer claim that they're not at fault in that kind of a situation. So there's a little bit of a problem there. Let's look at this concept of present sale versus contract to sell. So in a present sale, a sale in which is the say in which the title goods pass from seller to buyer at the time parties make the contract. So when you buy some software online, for example, you put your credit card information in. So you're doing, as the buyer, you're doing your part, and the seller agrees that you're going to take title of that software, at least the right to use that software immediately, so you get to download it. Whereas in a contract to sell, it happens at a future time. So for example, if you have a house built from the ground up, we did that back in the early 1990s. We spec'd out a house, we got a construction loan, we paid some money to our builder, we did that through installments, and he built the house, but we didn't take title of it until after the house was completed. An example of a contract to sell. Let's see. Performance of that sales contract. So the seller is the first party to perform through tender. In other words, the seller, like if you will, makes an offer that says, hey, I'll give you this product, I'll tender this product to you if you give me this kind of payment. The buyer performs through acceptance and payment in accordance with those terms. And the UCC kind of fills in the gap and guides that transaction. All right, what else we got here? Now let's talk about breach of a sales contract. Sorry about that. The wrong party, and this happens a lot. That's why there's the UCC to help guide what happens here. The wrong party may take action against the other party to get some sort of justice or correction to the problem. And let's see, did I zoom in on that? No, let's go a little bit further. Okay, so you can see that there's different remedies. There's remedies for the seller. They can cancel if there's a breach by the buyer. The seller can cancel the contract, resell the goods, and sue for damages. Withhold delivery of the goods until they get payment, for example. The buyer can also has some remedies as well. They can sue for breach of warranty. Maybe something was, you bought a car and it didn't work, so you have an opportunity to because you were wronged in the transaction, you have the opportunity to get some money back on that and cancel the contract. So you can see the different remedies there. All right, I think that's it. All right, listen, make sure you watch those devotionals. Check out, make sure you've done the discussion questions by Wednesday and Friday. And then the balance of those questions are due on Sunday. Quizzes and assignments are due on Sunday. And as usual, I have virtual office hours on Tuesday evening at 6. Have a great day.